Hello, my name is BryanKim. Today I'm going to present using selective simulation to create social digital therapeutics for children with Asperger's syndrome. And please note that although there are more suitable language for describing autism, I'm going to use autism spectrum disorder, ASD in short, for better understanding of wider audiences. In this paper, I will propose a game design method that could be applicable to serious games for healthcare and education by creating a game that teaches social interaction to ASD children. This design method is especially needed due to the current status in serious games for children's education and healthcare. Most of current games for children last only single session, meaning they play for a period of time and the game ends. This type of design approach results decrease in replay or revisiting values, which is an important factor in healthcare and education. This arouses a question on whether the learnings from these games last through their adulthood. For example, a Roby the Robot, a game that teaches emotions to ASD children, uses a simple point and click design to teach emotion to ASD children. This design arouses a question on generalizability and sustainability of ASD children's understanding in emotion. Questions on generalizability and sustainability are asked frequently in the field of serious games, and many game scholars proposed a design approaches to solve this problem. I'm going to find out what causes these questions by juxtaposing Susie and Bogost, who have different stances on serious game, and their proposed solution. I will do that to draw a suitable design method that can answer generalizability and sustainability in healthcare and education for children. Bogle's view on current serious games, which uses gamification, is on the negative side. Bogus claims that gamification is bullshit because most of the gamification are used in a style of consulting tool that happens to take up games as a solution. For example, a game called Do Brain claims that their game makes children smarter and will increase their IQ. But it is a visual remake of an IQ test. This game will give you the answers to the IQ test and will result in higher IQ scores of children after playing the game. And this is the type of gamification that Bogus is calling bullshit. Bogus insists on persuasive design approach, saying serious games should be persuasive, showing the possibility of using procedural rhetoric to support or challenge our understandings of the way things in the world do or should work. However, Susie, who has a positive view on serious game, on the contrary to Bogost, also proposed a serious game design approach that is similar to Bogost. Susie also proposes that serious games should allow the learners to get feedback regarding the consequences of actions. Based on this analysis, the solution will not come from simply choosing single design approach, whether it should be persuasive or serious. Current design approach may not be the sole problem, because persuasive approach may be applicable in military, government, or corporate games, but not in education and healthcare games. For example, Endeavor X, a FDA-approved digital therapeutics game for ADHD, is one of the games that uses persuasive approach. However, this game is often criticized due to its persuasiveness. People can't tell if this is just a game or a real therapy because of the lack of authority. The pedagogy, which is applicable to healthcare when substituting teachers as doctors, needs an authority while having a room for freedom. Learning process is leading the student, and therapy process is leading the patient to a correct direction. So there is an imbalance between seriousness and persuasiveness in games, and this greatly impacts current children because they are regarded as digital natives and using games as education or healthcare tool more than ever in the history. To solve this problem and find a middle ground, I looked into Wingspan, a game that made a lot of people go outside and do bird watching. This game creates a praxis through gamifying the system around the simulating each bird's unique habits in game. Stuart West, a professor of evolutionary biology at the Oxford University, praised this game of its education values on birds, even with the lack of biological content in the game. Drawing the design from Wingspan, which selectively simulated the biological habits of birds, I propose a selective simulation design approach to create healthcare and education games that will arouse praxis, which is answering both generalizability and sustainability. If so, what game should we make using selective simulation to test if design approach creates praxis? Well, I decided to create social digital therapeutics for autism spectrum disorder children because they are the digital natives that are most affected by and abused by current game design because current games fails to reflect one of the factors that affects cognitive development of children. In cognitive development in children, each stages are differentiated through four factors. Maturation, which is a physical development, experience, learning from changes of environments around the children, social transmission, language exchange with other people, and equilibration, self-regulation, feedback, feed-forward model, which is a fundamental factor in social development. Like toys, games can somewhat cover most of the factor except for equilibration, because maturation can be covered through different complexity of controls, experience through systemic design that shows a different changes in environment, social transmission through language exchange like story branching or chatting. But however, equilibration, the ability to feedback and feed forward children's thoughts, behaviors based on social information, is kind of hard to pinpoint. Though equilibration is the most important factor in children's social cognitive development, and it is coordinating their action from a conflict between the child's own point of view, there are not many games that cover equilibration. And that is why ASD children are most affected by current game design. ASD children's primary symptom is in the social competence. Due to their symptoms, they have hard time socializing and most likely to play games. And despite of the lack of equilibration in games, they learn social interaction from those games because games are their primary socializing tool. The lack of equilibration will result in deteriorating their symptoms. That is why we need to create a game that teaches theory of mind. Knowing other people's information and feeling can be different than mine. The game I will create to test out selective simulation will have 14 different sessions for generalizability and teaching theory of mind. This 14-week session design is selectively simulated from current ASD social training program like Peers. Each session consists of children and parent caregiver session like in Peers, and we are going to gamify only the practice part. A lot of previous games try to combine theory learning and games together, which often results in games that look similar to quiz or exams. So we want to keep the authority of education by keeping the theory part as is and gamify the practice so children can explore and exercise what they learn from theory part. In our game, children will learn about theory of mind using emotion in classroom and practice in our game. Our practice part will include interaction with other friends by talking, but also finding evidence around the environment. And children will explore different outcomes based on positive or negative answers. And the game will also show physical social interaction like handshake along with verbal social interaction. And most importantly, we're going to connect the emotion and evidence found in the game to teach connecting other people's emotion, situation, and their social cues to recognize the feeling of other people. And to summarize, the game simulates the social interaction and gamify identifying social cues and emotion found in the simulation. To establish therapeutic value, this game will include caregivers in the whole play session, and caregivers or parents will receive a detailed game data from the game through email along with rubrics provided from a hospital or special education schools. By revisiting the game with the children, with a manual from the center, parents and caregivers will act like teachers or doctors providing authority, seriousness to persuasive games. This play design is how I'm going to test out whether selective simulation will create social praxis for ASD children. So today I presented you how I use selective simulation to create social digital therapeutics for children with Asperger's syndrome. Thank you so much for listening, and I'm open for any question. Thank you.